Kings taught how to rule nations. But if Niccolò Machiavelli had written The Art of Seduction instead of The Prince, his method would have been too dark, too manipulative, and perhaps forbidden. It's not about romance. It's about power, control, and psychological warfare. Today, we're going to reveal Machiavelli's dirtiest methods for seducing any woman, not by being the most charming or the most handsome, but by making her believe she's chosen you while you pull back all the curtain strings. You'll learn how silence can be louder than words, how calmness becomes a weapon, and how the illusion of choice can make anyone feel drawn to you. Welcome to Machiavelli's Code, where ancient strategy meets modern psychology, and where you learn to command both yourself and the world around you. 1. The illusion of choice. Machiavelli once said, "Men are driven by two forces, love and fear." In the realm of attraction, both forces are always at play, but the true strategist understands something deeper. People don't like to be controlled. They like to believe they are in control. The greatest manipulation is not to demand attention, but to make someone want to give it. You don't chase. You create the gravity that pulls them toward you. You stay calm, silent, and intentional while they start to wonder why they can't stop thinking about you. This is not about deceit. It's about understanding human nature. People follow emotions more than logic. They crave mystery, they crave meaning. And when you give them both, they begin to invest. Not because you asked them to, but because they want to. The Machiavellian mind doesn't use force. It uses direction, disguised as freedom. It allows others to believe every decision is their own, while subtly guiding the outcome. Like a shadow that moves with the light, the strategist shapes emotion without being seen. You let her feel free, but every step she takes leads her closer to you. You make her believe she's choosing, yet every choice aligns with your design. That's the art of psychological power. Influence without pressure, control without chains. Machiavelli understood that the most loyal followers are those who believe they are acting on their own will. And in love, it's the same. You never demand affection. You create an atmosphere where affection becomes inevitable. You don't beg for connection. You build curiosity. You evoke emotion. You awaken something that makes her believe it was always her decision. That's the illusion of choice, where the heart feels free, but the mind dances to your silent rhythm. That's not manipulation. That's mastery. 2. The power of perception. Machiavelli once advised rulers in The Prince to appear merciful, faithful, humane, and religious. Not to be those things, but to appear as though they were. Why? Because perception shapes reality. And in the realm of attraction, what a woman believes about you will always matter more than what is true. You see, people fall in love with the image they create in their minds, not with the person standing in front of them. Your calmness becomes mystery. Your focus becomes intrigue. Your silence becomes the echo that fills her thoughts. You don't win attention by over-explaining yourself. You win it by allowing space for her imagination to work in your favor. When you say less, she starts to think more. And curiosity is the seed of desire. That's how perception becomes power. You don't need to be loud to be understood. You don't need to expose everything to be known. The moment you reveal all your layers too soon, the game ends. The mystery fades, and with it, attraction dies. Machiavelli would remind you, never reveal your full hand. Keep your intentions hidden until victory is certain. This principle applies beyond politics. It rules human emotion. In seduction, transparency must be earned, not offered. It's not deception, it's discipline. The power lies not in constant expression, but in her calculated restraint. True influence is invisible. It's when she feels your presence, even in your silence. It's when she studies your actions, trying to understand what drives you, yet never fully knowing. That's the essence of perception. You let her see enough to be intrigued, but never enough to be satisfied. You let her feel close, yet always a step away from truly understanding you. Because desire doesn't live in certainty, it lives in wonder. And the man who understands that truth doesn't chase affection. He creates it. 3. The mirror effect. Machiavelli's most dangerous tactic wasn't cruelty, it was reflection. He understood something that most people still overlook. Humans aren't drawn to others. They're drawn to themselves, reflected in others. Every woman, no matter how strong or independent she seems, carries a quiet desire, the need to feel understood, not judged, not analyzed, just understood. And that's where the true Machiavellian power begins. You don't try to impress her. You don't over-explain or prove your worth. You simply become a mirror, calm, composed, and observant. You listen more than you speak. You let her words reveal her world, her values, her fears. You reflect her tone, her rhythm, her energy. And in doing so, you create something few can resist, a sense of connection that feels natural, yet deeply powerful. People trust those who seem familiar. They open up to those who reflect pieces of who they are. That's why reflection is magnetic. It makes her feel seen, safe, and understood. She doesn't realize it's not magic, it's mastery. You've simply learned how to show her the version of herself she wishes to be. But there's a danger in this art, a line so thin most people never notice it. Because if you lose yourself in her reflection, you stop leading the dance. You stop being the mirror and become the shadow. And when that happens, she no longer sees mystery. She sees dependence. Machiavelli would warn, the moment you become emotionally predictable, you lose your power. So the mirror must remain clear. Reflect, but don't absorb. Understand, but don't surrender. Be present, but remain centered in your own identity. True mastery lies in this balance. To understand deeply without becoming emotionally entangled. To make her feel connection while you stay anchored in control. It's empathy with awareness, compassion with strategy. You don't manipulate emotions, you study them. You don't copy her, you harmonize with her. You become the calm surface upon which her emotions dance. And in that stillness, she finds herself drawn closer, not because you forced her to, but because she sees something familiar in you. That's the essence of the mirror effect. Not control, not deception, just awareness turned into quiet power. 4. The chaos principle. In The Prince, Machiavelli wrote, "A wise ruler must anticipate turmoil and shape it before it shapes him." In love, the same wisdom applies, because emotion doesn't live in peace. It lives in movement. Predictability is comfort, but comfort kills attraction. Certainty is safety, but safety kills curiosity. Desire thrives where there is just enough uncertainty to make the heart race. A Machiavellian seducer understands this dance, not as manipulation, but as emotional awareness. He knows that attraction is born from contrast. Too much chaos, and she feels unsafe. Too much calm, and she feels nothing. The secret lies in balance, in stirring the waters just enough to awaken emotion without sinking the ship. You don't need to play games. You simply learn when to act and when to pull back, when to speak, and when silence should do the talking. Sometimes it's a delayed response that makes her wonder what you're thinking. Sometimes it's your sudden stillness that makes her feel your absence more than your presence. That's not cruelty, it's strategy. Because the human mind craves resolution. It needs to close the loop, to make sense of uncertainty. And when you can create small waves of doubt, only to calm them again, you become unforgettable. You become the one who disturbs peace, and then restores it. The one who can bring chaos without destruction, and comfort without boredom. That emotional rhythm becomes addictive. It keeps her engaged, alert, and invested. Machiavelli would have understood this perfectly. Just as a ruler maintains power through balance, fear, and love, firmness, and mercy, a man maintains attraction through emotional rhythm, tension and relief, silence and attention. The Machiavellian seducer doesn't dominate her emotions. He conducts them like an orchestra. Each pause, each word, each silence, deliberate. He shapes the mood, not by control, but by timing. And in doing so, he becomes both her calm and her storm. Because what she truly desires isn't endless peace. It's the man who can lead her through chaos and make her feel safe in the middle of it. 5. The discipline of power. The true essence of Machiavelli's dark psychology is not deception. It is discipline. He understood that before a man can influence others, he must first conquer himself. Because the one who cannot command his own impulses, his own emotions, his own desires, will always be ruled by them. Control doesn't start with others. It starts within. A man who is reactive becomes predictable, and a predictable man loses power long before the game even begins. The Machiavellian seducer doesn't beg for attention. He doesn't over-explain his intentions or chase validation to feel worthy. He knows that the moment he seeks approval, he gives away authority. Instead, he leads with presence, quiet, grounded, unshakable. While others rush to fill silence, he allows it to work in his favor. Because in a world addicted to noise and constant expression, stillness becomes power. You don't need to prove yourself when you already know your worth. You don't need to chase what naturally gravitates toward strength. When you hold back words, people start to lean in. When you remain composed, others begin to lose their balance trying to read you. That's the power of discipline, not in pretending to be emotionless, but in mastering emotional control. You feel deeply, but you are not driven by those feelings. You choose your response instead of reacting to every impulse. You act with intention, not emotion. And the one who acts with intention always sets the rhythm of the connection. When she wonders what you're thinking, when she senses calm in your silence, you already hold the upper hand. Because mystery is not built on lies, it's built on restraint. And restraint in a chaotic world is the rarest form of strength. This isn't coldness, it's mastery. It's the understanding that to lead emotion, you must first rule your own. That composure is not emptiness, it's control. and that true power never screams. It whispers through presence, through patience, through discipline. Machiavelli would say, "The man who commands himself commands everything." And that is the core of influence, not deception, but dominion over the self. 6. The reflection of truth. Ironically, the dirtiest method is also the most honest. Because at its core, Machiavellian attraction has never truly been about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. The Machiavellian man doesn't seduce in the way most imagine. He doesn't chase, flatter, or perform. Instead, he becomes the embodiment of what others naturally gravitate toward: discipline, awareness, composure, and the rare calm of a man who seeks nothing from anyone. Power doesn't beg to be noticed. It doesn't shout or demand validation. It simply stands still, grounded, certain, silent, and the world begins to rearrange itself around it. This is the paradox Machiavelli understood. True influence doesn't come from manipulation. It comes from understanding. When you understand human nature, its fears, its desires, its illusions, you no longer need to control it. You simply guide it, gently, precisely, without resistance. People follow those who bring them peace in their own chaos. They are drawn to those who make them feel seen, not chased. The Machiavellian doesn't convince anyone to love him. He creates an environment where love feels like the natural choice. Because attraction, at its highest form, is not persuasion. It's reflection. You become a mirror that reveals what others wish to see in themselves. You awaken their confidence, their mystery, their depth. And in doing so, they confuse your calm for comfort, your strength for safety, and your silence for depth. That is the purest form of seduction. To awaken emotion without asking for it. To inspire loyalty without demanding it. To make someone love not you, but the reflection of themselves they find when they are with you. Machiavelli's wisdom was never about deception for its own sake. It was about clarity. The clarity to see how the human mind moves, and the discipline to never be moved by it. Because in the end, the most powerful man is not the one who controls others, but the one who has conquered himself so completely that others feel compelled to follow his stillness.